Well, welcome, Abby, and really pleased to have you on the Breakeven podcast. And absolutely delighted that you're the first female with lived experience that's been through our programs, that suffered gambling related harms, that can actually tell her story. And hopefully, when you tell your story here, Abby, that really encourages other women to come forward. Um, Recently, we see a lot more women than we used to, but we still need to see more. It's still a bit of a stigma for some women. So, without further ado, can you start by just telling us a bit about your gambling story, please?
Yeah, of course. I've always been around gambling. I've grew up in a seaside town where, the arcades, we frequented them daily or week by the
Yeah,
weekends and, slot machines and things like that. So I've always been brought up around sort of gambling. However, I've never had an issue with it. Um, when I had my daughter, she was my third child. I decided to breastfeed, and that meant that I was sort of sitting for long periods of the day. I found myself either feeding pumps or etc.
yeah,
And it's quite boring. So
yeah,
I found myself resorting to sort of like online gaming, and while sitting there like watching daytime TV, an advert came up for Tombola Bingo,
right,
and I was like, okay, I'm going to give that a little go. It started with just sort of bingo, and then I was winning on it, so I thought this is fantastic, and then I was spending the winnings as well. I wasn't putting it
yeah,
back on. I was actually going out and spending it and enjoying my time. And then it kind of got to a point where, say, I won £100, I started taking £50 out to put back
right,
in, and then spending £50 in case. Yeah, so I've always got money to sort of play more. Then whilst I was playing, it came up with little mini games underneath, and then I started winning on slots, and then before I knew it, it had got from sort of casually doing it as and when to sort of doing it every sort of evening, and then weekends, and then it kind of
Did you
spilled over.
notice it? Did you notice it escalate so quickly? Because it sounds like what you've been doing, you were chasing your winnings, because we're not really talking about losses at the moment. But did you notice it creeping up on you, or did you just think it was the norm?
I noticed it creeping up, but I still felt very much in control of
Yeah,
it because I was enjoying it. I was enjoying the thrill of it,
yeah,
and it was the only thing at that point that was kind of keeping me, I don't know, awake during the
yeah,
night feeds and things
yeah,
like that. It was keeping my mind active. So yeah, I did notice it, but I was, yes, I thought, I'd say it's very strongly, I thought I was very much still in control
right,
of it. And it got to a point where it kind of then spilled over into the sort of, it wasn't just my relaxing time in the evening and during the night, it was then during the day. And then when I went to work, it was kind of before work, after work. And then I noticed that if I did, I almost had trouble sleeping so that I
yeah,
could do it as well. And then, yeah, even when my baby, my little girl, was even sleeping through the night, I still found myself waking up to do it. And then it kind of, that's when it started to hit the financial side of things because the winnings stopped. And then I was sort of plowing money into it, my own money into it, bill money into it. Um, and it then got to a point that I still felt in control at this point, even though I was leaving myself with zero balance in my bank.
yeah.
I still felt like I was fully in control of this, and I'm not addicted to it. Um, and then it got to a point where I just sort of lived, slept, and breathed it. It was just literally all I thought about. I went to bed thinking about it. I woke up thinking about it. I stopped going out with my family. I stopped doing things with the kids because there was. I just wanted to get back onto my phone and play.
Sure. So it sounds like you were totally consumed with gambling, finding every waking moment that you could
Yeah.
to gamble. Were other people aware of how problematic it was starting to become for you?
No, because my partner at the time is a heavy gamer. So
Right.
it kind of, I was able to hide it quite well by sort of encouraging him to play more on his PlayStation and his Xbox, which he didn't mind. He didn't
Yeah.
think of it. He was just like, oh, okay. He carried on
That's what you
sort of
both did,
playing it.
so to speak.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
was playing my game, he was playing his game. But the difference was that he was able to turn his off and not think about it and go to work and
Yeah.
function, whereas that was just not what happened was happening to me.
Yeah.
I was learning to become an introvert. I was staying at home all the time. I was barely going out. I stopped doing the school runs and things like. He was then taking up most of the school runs, and I was making all of these excuses like I'm tired, I'm not feeling very well,
Yeah.
and it was just so that I could, you know, play my game.
So
And
when did you start to realise, Abby, that the impact it was having on your relationships with your partner, with your kids, and ultimately with yourself?
with me and my ex-partner, we'd always had kind of a rocky relationship, and although I don't blame him for it, my self-esteem was at rock bottom because of what had happened in our relationship. So it was getting worse anyway because we were adding to our family. It was a second child in 2 years that we'd had. So our relationship was rocky anyway. So I was able to quite kind of um, you know, hide it through that and sort of
Yeah.
blame it on postnatal and the living
Yeah.
situation, the money situation. I was blaming on
Yeah.
spending more on children. But my relationship with my family kind of dwindled because I wasn't going to family events or barbecues or parties. And if my family did FaceTime me or talk, I'm like talking to them but whilst playing. So they're like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you looking at me?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just reading an email or something like that." But I wasn't. I was just fully involved in my game.
You think they believed you at the time when you were making these excuses?
I gave them no reason to doubt me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think people started to suspect at some point. Like my dad asked me if I was gambling, and I
Oh,
obviously
right.
was like horrified. I was like, no, because I was borrowing a lot of money and
Yeah.
I never had any money. And my dad asked me if I was gambling. I was like, no, and I was really defensive about it.
What
Um,
excuses were you using when you were borrowing the money?
Well, last summer, I split from my partner, and the fact that I has had 3 children, and I was pregnant, and there's not a lot of money to be had on maternity leave. I use
Yeah.
that as a really,
Yeah.
I'm poor, and this has cost this much money, and I've got an unexpected bill, and I would lie to
Yeah.
almost manipulate my family into lending me money and so on and so forth, and
When
it's
you reflect on it now, you're really honest and open, which is really great to hear. How was it? Can you go back to that time when you were doing it? How was that making you feel? Because you knew what was going on, you knew you were sort of starting to tell lies and manipulate people. How did it feel then? Do you remember?
believe it or not, I still felt in control.
Yeah,
I still felt fully in control,
that's what I
and
thought.
I
Yeah,
was borrowing it with the intention of paying it back. And I
yeah.
was like, if I win, then I can pay them back, and then I can, live again for the month. And I've not done too much damage.
And that's a
Um,
massive difference, Abby, isn't it, with gambling and other addictions? Is when you're borrowing money when you're a gambler, you actually think, well, you're only borrowing it for a few days because you're going to win it and pay it back to
yeah.
them.
Absolutely. Whereas obviously if it was substance abuse addiction,
Yeah,
you know full well you're not giving that back to them
yeah,
because once that money's gone, it's gone.
yeah,
So the intentions were there to be, um, you know, forthcoming and paying it back and so on and so forth. And I did always pay it back. And I didn't, in some respects, I was fortunate in the fact that I never borrowed money off a lender or a bank or anything to fund my habit. There was always that kind of stopping point in my brain that it can never go that far. As soon as it
yeah,
goes that far, I know then I've got an issue. And that was kind of, it didn't matter if I had zero in my bank account because I still was in control as long as I
yeah,
wasn't borrowing money off a financial body, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
So sounds like you try to keep yourself in quite a safe place, although you realised what you were doing, so to speak.
Yeah, but I wasn't in a safe space. I
Yeah,
was um hurtling towards a complete and utter life crisis.
yeah,
And I couldn't see it because I still felt I was in control. And the light bulb moment for me, the bit where I realized I've no longer got control, was sort of November and December time. November, every sort of money I was getting,
yeah.
I was I was gambling it, and it was making me so unhappy. I was just not even enjoying it. And then on the 23rd of December, no, so the beginning of December, I spent all the money for Christmas presents,
Wow.
and I was devastated. I was so ashamed of myself because I had four children
Were
and I
you
hadn't
still
got
keeping this all to yourself, Abby, as well?
yeah, yeah, I hadn't told anybody. And then my dad had lent me, well, my dad gave me some money
Yeah.
for Christmas to help towards the thing, and I put it straight in the bank and I gambled it.
Right.
And fortunately, I won, and I basically bought my Amazon shopping basket that had all the kids' presents in it. And um, I went to Smith's Toys straight away. I was like
Yeah.
forcing myself to do these things because I knew I couldn't trust myself with it for
Sure.
very much longer. So that, like, literally that hour, I went and did that. So I knew that that was sorted, and anything left was a bonus. And then I would, yeah, I gambled the rest, and then I got paid on the 23rd of December, and I remember waiting up for it to go into my bank,
Wow.
thinking if I win more, I can, I can buy my kids like the best
Even more
Christmas
for
ever.
Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and by 4 o'clock in the morning, it was gone, all
Wow.
of it. I hadn't won a single thing. I hadn't even won a bonus round or anything, and I was devastated. And I vowed that day that that was the start of things to change. I'm not
And
doing
what
this
and was it,
anymore.
Abby?
Yeah, it was. Um, Other than one tiny blip in March, um, I haven't gambled since.
That's fantastic. And how did you manage to do that? Because you were totally consumed with gambling. It was affecting every part of your life. Very low self-esteem. Obviously, really affecting your mental health and everything around you.
It
Um,
affected, yeah, it affected I was waiting for someone to find out. I wanted to get caught for someone to help me. I begged, I almost begged, like left my phone lying around and
yeah.
stuff like that. I wanted someone to find out what I was doing
So
to
after
help
years of
me.
hiding it, you were then in a totally different place where you wanted somebody to find out by accident, in inverted commas, to bring it all out in the open.
And then I realized that wasn't going to happen because no one was suspecting it. So why would they saw
Yeah.
a game on my phone, they wouldn't know what game it was, and they wouldn't,
Yeah.
you know. So in the end, I decided it's got to come from me. If I want to change, it's no one else is going to do it for me.
Yeah.
And I kind of, thought about my analogy that I tell my guests at my work. You can go to the garden centre and buy all the tools for the garden and leave them out there, but overnight, and you're going to wake up in the morning, that garden's not going to be done,
Yeah.
because although the tool's there, it needs to come from you.
Yeah.
And I decided to phone Breakeven. I phoned Gamblers Anonymous.
Yeah.
I think it was Gamban. I phoned my bank and I told them I want no access to my online banking, none at all. So they took away all my access to my online banking.
How did
I
you find all
closed,
these places, Abby? Did you sort of Google it
just
and
Google searched
yeah,
gamble
right.
addiction. That's
Yeah.
literally what I put in, gambling addiction.
Yeah.
And it all these help things came up and I
Right.
phoned all of them. And I cried, and I that was the first time I admitted that I had a problem. I
Yeah.
phoned my doctors. I phoned anybody that would listen without judgment, because I
Yeah.
felt the judgment would not be helpful at that
Sure.
point.
And when you reached out to all these various people, what was the response?
They were so understanding, and I think the fact that they kept telling me that I'd done so well to reach out, I kind of started believing that this
Yeah.
was, I did have a serious addiction and I am doing well, because if they're saying I'm doing well, then I'm doing well. And I'm the sort of person, I'm quite a people pleaser. So when I started doing the online chat with Gamban or
Yeah.
GamStop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every night at 8 o'clock they had
Oh,
an
that,
online
yeah.
chat room.
That'd be
And
Gamcare, yeah.
Gamcare, that's it.
Yeah,
Sorry, yeah,
that's right.
Gamcare. And I really loved saying I'm on day 7, and then it was like
Yeah.
day 12, then it was day 30, and then I joined the ladies group Wings, and I've not been there every Wednesday without fail. I am there at 8 o'clock with my ladies there,
So
and they are so important
so
to the
when you joined
process.
the group run by us, by Breakeven, the Wings
Yeah.
group, were you in having one-to-one treatment as well, or did you just go into Wings?
No, not at that point.
Right,
I hadn't got my counsellor from Breakeven yet.
right,
I was waiting for that, but I was just right. I wrote it down everywhere. Day
yeah.
10, day 11. I wrote it
That's
down all
so
over
you're
the
really
message
rejoicing
boards.
in your recovery journey, so to speak.
Yeah, and the first day of payday was obviously going to be the hardest. I dreaded it because I thought I was going to feel so much temptation. And I remember going to bed on that day and realizing that I still had money in my bank. And I was like, this is unnervy. So I went to the bank and I withdrew loads of cash because I was like, at least if it's cash, I can't spend it online.
Yeah.
And I did that for about 2 months. I lived with just cash.
What a good tool.
Um, and it was
Great tool to
brilliant.
use. That really
It
worked well
was
for you, didn't it?
it really did work well for me because I've got children. I can't pop out at 10 o'clock at night to go put money in the bank when I get that urge. I can't do that.
One thing I could
So,
see, Abby, is when you were talking about the bad days and when
mm,
it was taking a hold on you, to we've come on this journey to when you're into recovery and your recovery journey, your whole demeanor, your everything, your voice has changed, which is fantastic. Did you know when did you think your relationship started to change and get better in the same way that you got your relationship with yourself has obviously got a lot better?
yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a switch that just kind of, I'm not gambling anymore, so
Yeah,
everything's all good. It's just happened over time, and I've learned one of the biggest things is to trust myself,
yeah,
and to that is like learning to trust myself throughout my whole life. I've never been able to do that. And now I'm learning that I am in control of my life. I really am. I've got the means, and I've got it in me to be in control.
yeah,
And when I'm talking to my family, I'm so much more honest about how I'm feeling, what's going on, and so on and so forth. And that honesty for me feels so refreshing. It's such a nice feeling to phone my mum or my dad and they ask me how I'm doing for money. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm all right. Yeah.
that's great.
Excuse me. And I've just moved house and I didn't borrow any money to do it. I had the money to do it. And
Well, just fantastic end to a really, really powerful story. At any time, especially when you were reaching out to people and you were looking up, Googling, how can you get help and support? Do you feel it was a bit more difficult reaching out for help being a woman?
I thought I was the only woman in the world to be doing this because what woman would gamble away money that would feed their children, and what a shameful thing to do.
Yeah,
Um, but once I'd spoken to people and understood that it's an addiction just as any other addiction, it's designed to keep you going back. It kind of allowed me to be kinder to myself and realize that it's designed to do this. This is what they
yeah,
want. They want you to be
yeah.
spending every last penny doing it. And it allowed me to not make an excuse for my behavior because I'd never excuse it. I'm accountable and I have done
Yeah.
it.
Which
But
is why you're in where you are now.
exactly, I admitted that I have the problem. I've admitted that I need help and I have come to terms with all the times that I've spent bill money, food money and things like that. But I can't change it. I'm
No,
never getting that money back, so I can only
you
go
can't
forward.
change the past. You can only influence the future, as we always say. Um,
Absolutely.
it really feels like when you found Wings, the Women in Need of Gambling Support Group, that was when it opened your eyes that you're not on your own. It's not just you, and there's other women.
It was incredible, my first experience on there. I remember going on there with a bit of trepidation, thinking, oh, it's gonna be like, okay, it's gonna be women, but they're all kind of gonna be like old women playing that have got kind of a bit of bingo that's got out of hand. And I just had that kind of image. But when I saw it, it was women my age, mums, not mums, young girls,
Abby,
old
that's such
girls.
an important point because I still think there's that stigma around that any women that are gambling are either old ladies sitting on slot machines in the corner of a casino or going to bingo. And
Mm.
as you well know, and as you've learnt to your detriment, gambling for women and women gamble on exactly the same thing as men do.
Doesn't discriminate. It's not a discriminatory thing. It's not going to say, yeah, it will take any woman,
Yeah,
regardless of what you are or what you do or how well off you are or how
absolutely.
educated you are. Because I mean, I'm educated
Yeah,
and
and I
I
can hear
also
that.
work
Yeah,
with vulnerable people with
yeah,
addictions, and therefore I knew better.
yeah,
It doesn't take hold like that. You don't think, oh, I've got an addiction. One
yeah,
day, one day I didn't have one, and one day I did have one. It's a slow process.
yeah. You're so right. I mean, gambling's certainly got no bias. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, it's coming to get you. So, Abby, you've obviously been on this long journey of recovery, which I really applaud you for. During this journey, have you had any urges to go back to gambling?
So I had, um, obviously within the first few months, the urges were quite strong. But I did things like I left my phone upstairs, took out cash only, made sure there was nothing in my bank. And then obviously slowly started keeping money in my bank just until I felt that. And then one day I did decide to go online and have a little go. I found ways around it, around my Gamban thing and so on. And I sat there and I played it, and I was online for about, I don't know, about half an hour, and I found myself getting frustrated with the game. I wasn't enjoying it. I didn't get the thrill. And when I come off it, I kind of was like, oh, what a waste of money. I can't believe I just wasted that. I kind of did it for kind of an experiment to myself to see how I
Yeah.
felt.
So I suppose it sounds like for a bit of affirmation to see where you really were,
Mm.
and the changes that you've already were going through, and that was sort of final affirmation, which is really good news for you, I suppose.
Yeah, it made me angry.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it. It made me really angry with myself as well, because I'd done a clean slate up until that point, and I was but I when I came off it, I was so proud of myself that I was able to come off it. Firstly, I still had money in the bank. Secondly, and then thirdly, I was so proud that I felt nothing for it.
Really, that's fantastic to hear. We spoke a bit about Wings and how important it was for you to join a Women in Need of Gambling Support only group because you didn't really think things like that existed. Since Wings and having therapy, and really, you coming through Breakeven and using every tool we had to enhance your recovery journey. You also joined Green Shoots. Tell us a little bit about that experience because predominantly it's not a men only group, but we found it very hard to get women in, and hopefully it was quite welcoming for you as a woman.
Absolutely. Neil, who runs it, is absolutely fantastic. And we've just done week 5. So it's on a Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. And I find it is all about the accountability aspect of it, but also about being kind to yourself and going forward and things like that. And I found every week I've learned something new about myself and how to look at things a bit differently, but also it allows me to look at what I do for a living as well. That allows me to sort of leaks into that as well. And that's made me really passionate about working and helping others with their addictions as well.
Fantastic. When you were reciting your story and how you started, bingo obviously played a massive part. Place that you arrived with experienced gambling related harm. What do you think about bingo and any recent news that may have come out?
So I was at what there was daytime TV on at work, and it came on that bingo is now being used as a way for young people to go out and have a few drinks, and it's a cheaper night out for them. And I was horrified because it was basically glorifying it, and saying that, oh, you can do this, and it had like literally images of people playing on the slot machines in the background, and this is like meant to be a cheaper night out. And I just felt as though this was literally a this is how it starts. You know, it starts with an innocent game of bingo, and it can just, and then you've got the slot machines there, and it can just literally take hold and go somewhere completely different.
Whereas,
And I just,
whereas that obviously was made to encourage people to go down the route or the journey, hope that you've been on. Hopefully, listening to your story will totally counteract that and
yeah,
make people realise that it's not as great fun as people are led it to believe that it is.
I really hope so.
Abby, thank you so much for sharing such a powerful story, which
You're
I think will
welcome.
inspire other people to come forward. Before we finish up, what would your advice be to somebody who may be where you were, that may still be embarrassed, may still feel they're in control, in inverted commas? What would your advice be to them?
I would say, you know, seek help. And I don't mean that in like a cliche way. There is things out there to help people. And when you think you're in control, you're just kidding yourself. You are not in control. As much as you think you are, the minute you start spending beyond your means, you've lost that control. And there's nothing to be ashamed of, because we all go through points in our lives where we need some help, and asking for it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong because you want to get better, and that's a sign of strength in my eyes.
Fantastic. I want to echo what you said earlier that other people said to you when first starting to reach out. Thanks for being really brave to share your story. And ultimately, just thank you for sharing it, because the impact it will have on other women coming forward hopefully will be mega. Thank you very
Excellent.
much, Abby.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you or someone you know is affected by gambling related harm, please call us on 01273 833 722 or visit our website www.breakeven.org.uk. Alternatively, please call the National Gambling Helpline on 0808 8020 133. Please ensure to like and subscribe to all our social media channels and keep this message out there. Thank you.